Hello 9.2. I'm going to be going through your whole class feedback for the Wild Swans assessment. But before I go through that specifically, I just want to show you how to access the individual comments that I've made on your essays. So if you go to Teams, this may look a little bit different for you, but if you open up the 9.2 history group, you'll be presented with the general post page. Please go across and click Class Notebook. Again, this may look a little bit different, but hopefully you will be able to find your name. So say, for argument's sake, I am Poppy Wilson. Choosing you, Poppy, because I know you have done the assessment and that I've marked it. I'm going to scroll down to Remote Learning Task 3, because this is when you submitted the Wild Swans essay. Now, you'll see that I've made comments alongside your essay, just as I would normally, and there are comments and targets at the bottom, so please make sure you scroll down for that. Please also appreciate the ticks, because I was very impressed when I discovered that function. If you don't have any ticks, obviously that doesn't mean that you're, I don't think highly of your essay. It just means I clearly hadn't discovered that function there. So, right, I'm going to stop waffling and we're going to go on to the whole class feedback. So first of all, I would just like to say how proud I am of your submissions for this assessment, because in ordinary circumstances, this is a very challenging inquiry question, because it requires you to look back on your knowledge of Mao's China and then compare that to the historical account by Yung Chang and her experience of Mao's China, compare them and explain why they're different. And then on top of that, you're coupling in why this was considered wild and rebellious. So first of all, just well done for submitting that. I was impressed with everything that I received from you guys. In particular, I've just selected a few pupils here that have made some cracking statements. I'd love to have included all of you, but there just wasn't room. So first of all, Abby, I particularly like these two phrases in your essay. So, this book tells a different story to the propaganda and posters, making it wild and rebellious. So, what is fantastic about this is that you are looking beneath Mao's China, but you're also linking to the question. Again, this makes Chang's book rebellious because she has yet again exposed Mao. I just thought that's fantastic, because it shows you reinforcing your argument because of the phrase yet again, because I know from reading it you've also referred to that earlier on in your essay. So brilliant. Angel, I thought this was great because it was paraphrasing Wild Swans and the words of Yung Chang. Mao describes it as paradise, however Chang describes it as hell. Perfect. And then you go on to quote the book there. I couldn't fit that in, but that was fantastic. Brady, Chang describes what it is like to live in Mao's China as horrible and unforgiving. I thought that was really, really powerful, just horrible and unforgiving. Just thought that's fantastic. Edward, in my opinion, I think her book is banned because they don't want the outside world to have an image that says China is a bad place. They don't want to be reminded of the history. I thought that was an excellent statement to make at the end of your essay, because it just took in the bigger picture. You've looked at the history of Mao's China, you've looked at Yung Chang's work, but then you've also placed it in the context of China today. I just thought that was fantastic. Joe, another excellent summary point. Overall, Wild Swans was seen as wild because it exposes Mao and the Chinese government and how they were corrupt as they sent out fake propaganda. So again, exposing the reality compared with what Mao was projecting. Libby, the word wild infers that Chang was a rule breaker because she went against Mao's Little Red Book and his orders. So I thought that was fantastic because it added a new slant to wild, because not only is she wild for publishing this book that exposes Mao, but she's wild because even when she lived in Mao's China, she didn't follow the rules. So yeah, cracking, well done. And then Poppy, this book is wild because it opposes what he wanted China to look like. So again, just grappling with the heart of it. So it's wild because it's exposing what Mao wanted China to look like. And this sentence is very powerful because it shows an awareness of the fact that actually China did not look like this, but Mao was painting over that. Brilliant. So well done. Like I said, would love to have included lots of your quotes in there because they were genuinely fantastic. Some misconceptions though, because like I said earlier, it is a very challenging topic. The question is, what was so wild about Yung Chang's Wild Swans? Essentially, this is asking you, why was this book published on Mao's China? Why was it seen as rebellious? Why was it banned? Some of you slipped into almost the trap of saying, well, it's wild because it's called Wild Swans. Fair play, but actually what this is asking is, why was it seen as rebellious? Why is it out there? And these quotes here get to the heart of that. So just have a look at those. So the fact that it's exposing, it's showing Mao for what he really is. It's undermining the propaganda, the fake propaganda. This applies to pretty much everyone. Answer the question. Do not simply tell Chang's story, as riveting and as gripping as it is. You need to make sure at the end of every paragraph you are reinforcing your answer to the question. So you are saying, this is why Yung Chang's Wild Swans was considered rebellious, or it was considered wild. And just to reiterate that, this sentence here came at the end of one of Abby's paragraphs, and that does do that. It answers the question. So doing something like that. Write like historians. Some of you are slipping into casual terms like didn't, don't, or stuff like this, or things like. Try and be sophisticated in your extended writing, because it has such a positive impact when you do that. Now, wild does not, obviously wild as we know it can mean crazy or out of control, but wild does not necessarily mean that Chang herself is uncontrollable or out of control. It is talking about why the publication of the book is wild, or why what she is saying is rebellious. Remember, at the heart of this essay, you are comparing propaganda to reality. So all those posters we looked at, how do they match up to the reality? What was it really like? So Chang is telling you in her book. Last but not least, the spelling, grammar and punctuation. Just go through this list, making sure you spell everything correctly. These are the common words that were misspelt, but you may have misspelt something and I will have corrected that individually on your essay. So just make sure you make that improvement. It's the Polaroid moment, the fantastic moment, has to be Abby's essay, because it was meticulously planned, and because of that, Abby was able to produce such a detailed essay that got to the heart of this question of what was so wild about Yung Chang's Wild Swans. So well done, Abby. But like I say, all of you made fantastic submissions on this assessment, because it was really, really hard and you were doing it remotely. So well done, everyone. So what you need to do now is respond to my comments at the bottom of your essay and the misconceptions that I've explained, and then make those changes either on Microsoft Teams or on your assessment in your history book in green pen if you have one. But well done, everyone.